Good evening and welcome to Confessions. I'm your hostess of light, Jenny Watson, and tonight we'll be talking about all or nothing mentalities and how living in extremes can be detrimental to your health, actually. We've all heard the term moderation is key, and it is so very true. Just take anything in your life, for example, your health, your job, your social lives, everything needs to find some kind of balance. Living in the extremes can be, serious for our health, for, our total well-being, and with that comes judgment, and you can find yourself judging others, judging yourself. So what we really need to focus on is open-mindedness and acceptance so that we can live our optimal lives. So joining me to talk about this tonight is certified health coach Genevieve Eliza. Genevieve has heard the calling to help others find their greatest level of health and vitality through nutrition as well as through spiritual and emotional balance. So it's a pleasure to have her on Confessions tonight. So welcome, Genevieve. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Are you ready to bare your soul?
Sure. As ready as I'll ever be.
Don't worry about it. It's a piece of cake. You'll love it.
Yes.
And you'll want some more.
Okay.
So talk to us and tell us a little bit about what got you into health and nutrition. How did this become your passion?
Actually, my family has I've struggled with obesity my entire life, and as well as most of my family. And I finally started to get my weight down to a normal level. I never could quite get down to a healthy level, but I was focusing on the wrong thing. I was focusing on weight and not focusing on health. That's the number one tip I'm going to give you, is focus on your health, and the weight will come off, and there's vanity benefits to getting healthy. But what happened was I joined a meditation group, and I started having all of these, I don't want to say visions, but these callings towards like these holistic approaches to health and nutrition and just wellness in general. I kept feeling called towards like Ayurveda, all these different modalities. And what happened was, of course, one thing leads to another. I started watching YouTube videos, and then I discovered a channel called Varia on, it's like a cable channel that's dedicated to health and wellness and a holistic approach. And there was a woman that they had everything from feng shui to health and nutrition, everything you could think of. And there was a woman named Andrea Beeman who had 2 television shows. And I felt very drawn towards her approach and just her in general and her energy, and she was so well-rounded. And what happened was I just sort of researched her and discovered her path and her path that led her to wanting to go to school and study nutrition and all these different modalities. And I decided to sort of not copy her, but we did graduate from the same school. We did get our certified nutrition credentials from the same school. So that's how it started. Yeah. So I just became very, very passionate. The more I looked into it, the more I started using myself as a guinea pig and started seeing the differences in my own body and in my own well-being and the way I felt. And again, just one thing leads to another, and it was just definitely the right choice for me. And I originally got involved just to help myself and my own family, but as time went on, I realized I was health coaching everywhere I went. Anytime someone starts asking you a question, you immediately realize you're coaching them. So I decided that I'm passionate about it, and why not? Why the hell not? I don't know what took me so long to realize that you could, stay in your integrity and still make a living helping people doing something that you're passionate about and that you love and contributing to society, and not feel bad about that.
Love it. So I read that you studied over 150 kinds of different techniques.
Dietary theories. Yeah.
Dietary theories. Okay, what are some of your favorites?
Well, I like the ones that are more plant-based. I'm not a huge fan of like the Atkins or the Paleo, but then again, I mean, every body is different. There is, and this is why it's so important, I think, to understand these different dietary theories, because you need to understand where your clients are coming from. They've got their own dietary theories, and you're not there to judge them. You're there to help them find their path. What a health coach should do is not necessarily tell you how to live your life, but should guide you and be brutally honest if you can tell that it's not working for them, and sort of, because you are sort of using yourself as a bit of a guinea pig to figure out what works for you, because individuality is such a very real thing. One person's food is another person's poison, and so you're sort of just helping direct them down the path maybe a little faster than they would do on their own, or introducing them into new theories or even food groups in some cases that they never even knew existed. Certain superfoods are just, it just depends on where the person's starting and, of course, what their individual makeup and needs would be. And yeah.
Yeah, so I love how you say that you take an inclusive approach to healing. Tell us what that means for you and why it's so important in your work.
This business of health and nutrition is really touchy. It's, if you go on YouTube and you start Googling videos, you will see people just attack. It's like religion or politics, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
We're talking about food. You know what I mean? But you've got these people that are vegan that absolutely despise people that eat meat, and they think that animals and humans are at the same level, and no matter what, like, you never eat meat, no animal products whatsoever. And then you've got these other people that are in the opposite extreme that think people that are raw or vegans or just non-meat eating people are sick and crazy, and that it's a cult. And believe me, somewhere in the middle there is balance. Okay, again, every body is different, so it's just about finding what works for you and stop judging. It's just food. Now, when it comes to eating meat, I understand. If you're an animal lover, I understand the passion. You're disgusted by commercial factory farming. I'm disgusted by it. I think it should be abolished. I think it should be illegal. It's cruel, it's heinous, and I do believe that there's probably a tremendous amount of karma attached to it. But I don't think that that's the case for all people who eat meat and all meat. I think that some people absolutely need it, and it is kind of a superfood in that it's a little bit of a shortcut for some people because the food is the different micronutrients are very bioavailable, iron, and then of course the protein. I mean, that's the obvious one. It's a lot easier to absorb, but it's not the only source of it. So in other words, some people eat it because it's a shortcut and because it tastes good, while other people absolutely have to have it. They just need it. So it just depends on where the person's coming from. But I believe that there's a right way to consume animal products, and there's definitely a wrong way. And the wrong way is to eat animals that have been tortured and trapped their entire lives. That's just absolutely despicable to me. But that doesn't mean that a person who is sourcing their meat properly deserves to be attacked or called a murderer, or So when I say inclusive, I mean, let's knock off the judgment. Come on, it's food. It's food. It's got to stop. It's getting to it's terrible. It's scary. It's almost to the point of, like, some of these people almost seem violent about their beliefs.
Right. It just, as I was talking about in the introduction about the extreme behaviors, and you touched it perfectly, religion and politics, and how sad that nutrition is coming to fall into this category where, with all these different diets, everybody has to be right, and if you're not following the right thing, it's, you get attacked, and it is insane. I agree with you. So in talking about moderation over, extreme behavior, do you find that any of your clients come to you expecting some kind of one-fits-all situation?
Oh, yeah,
absolutely. What do you do with them?
Well, first of all, you tell them that that's nonsense. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, it just, as with any other area of your life, not everybody wants to do the same thing for a living. Not everybody, some people get cancer, some people have diabetes in their family. How could you possibly, people need to stop comparing themselves to other people first and foremost. That's
Absolutely.
You are absolutely you, okay? And let's start there. So yeah, people come there thinking, well, that there is one right way to eat for everyone, and that's that extreme mentality, and it's very, very dangerous in my opinion, because people are getting sick. They're getting on to a certain kick, and they're sticking with it because they think that eventually their body's going to adapt, that they're just detoxing. And the thing that's crazy is that, our bodies are very adaptable. If you only are eating like certain food groups, of course, eventually you're going to start to feel a little bit better after 2-3 years. That they'll say, oh, you've just been detoxing for 2 or 3 years. No, you detox for a few months. And if it's not working for you, then it's not the optimum way for you to eat. But your body, our bodies are so adaptable. Like, for instance, if you were thrown out in the jungle and all there was to eat was bananas, eventually your body would adapt to just eating bananas. It would know how to survive on them. Is that the ideal diet for you?
I don't know. Maybe it is.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is, but maybe it isn't. But maybe your body is just adapting to the environment that it's in, and it doesn't have a choice. It thinks it doesn't have a choice, but our bodies are incredible that way. But that doesn't mean that for the long term that's going to work. And another thing to keep in mind is that sometimes a certain lifestyle will work for 2 decades, and then suddenly it doesn't. And that's okay too. So you run into these people that have been eating completely animal-free diets for 20 years, and then suddenly it's not sustaining them anymore. They don't feel well. It's not their fault. Their bodies needs change, or our bodies change. They're always changing. And if your environment changes, especially if you move from like a cold climate to a hot climate, and just aging, just getting a little older, our dietary needs absolutely change, and that's okay. I think the key is to just, to constantly be on a mission. It's extreme.
Involved with it, right?
Yeah, it's extreme self-care.
Yeah. I know I'm guilty of it at times, but people commit to something and they think it's got to be all or nothing, and so they get on diets and they leave no room for ever. Like, we have to be perfectionists. So would you buy into the theory that have people like build in cheat meals or days off, or like flexibility rather than being so extreme? Is that something that you recommend to people, or do you think that's unhealthy in some way?
Not necessarily. What I think is I'm a huge fan of leaning in. I lean into things slowly, because change is not sustainable if you dive in head first. It really isn't. People don't stick to stuff. I'm a huge fan of just don't focus so much on completely changing your diet or your lifestyle just overnight. What I would suggest and what I teach people to do is just start adding things in. Just start adding them in. Don't worry about taking out the bad things. So, for instance, if you eat the good stuff first, okay, and if after you've eaten all the good stuff, the healthy stuff, and you still want that damn piece of chocolate cake, then eat it. Eat it. Don't love yourself. Honor yourself. Because what happens is that as time goes by, these bad habits tend to fall by the wayside. Our brains actually create, our hypothalamus in particular will actually create food memories. So what happens is it actually starts to send cravings through your body for what it knows it needs, and so you actually start to develop healthy addictions to certain food groups. It's incredible. So my tip is love yourself, honor yourself, be easy on yourself, let your body do the work for you. Let your body do the hard work for you, and it will.
It will. Brilliant.
I've experienced it myself.
Love that. So how do you work with people one-on-one? Like, how do you help them determine what course of action is right for them?
It's interesting. I've always just done group coaching. I'm just now branching out into one-on-one because, I think it's really important that I do. I've actually, and just because I'm such a perfectionist, I've got so much Virgo in my chart, I've taken on a health coach myself. You'll notice that most people that do what I do for a living have coaches themselves. Even the people that are famous have their resources. So I've taken on a coach, and she incorporates labs. And I've always wanted to do this, and I was actually praying for, so I didn't know, because I'm not a doctor. I don't know how to read. I don't know how to draw blood and read people's labs, but there's a company out there, there's several companies out there that actually can give you labs that just using someone's spit. You can just collect their spit and get. Now, it's not going to be a full CBC panel, obviously. That's something that you'd need to go to a doctor to get, if something's really truly wrong. But I can look at your hormone levels. I can see where, if your thyroid is functioning. Yeah, and these are really, really important to take my coaching to the next level, I think, because how do I know if I don't have kind of a basic, just someone tells you they're tired, right? I'm tired all the time. I'm so lethargic. Well, it could be your adrenals. It could be your thyroid. It could be so many different things that are causing this. It could just be stress. You hate your job, you hate your marriage. I mean, it may not be food at all. So you got to be able to see what's, Yeah. Yeah. Once I start doing that, and and again using myself as a guinea pig, because I never just do anything without, using it practically, a practical application, like actually applying it to my own life. Obviously, I can't recreate every single scenario. I can't recreate, someone who's a cancer survivor, because I'm not a cancer survivor. But I can, what I'm trying to say. I can get the basics down. Yeah, and I think
you need an understanding for yourself and how that interacts with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Correct.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So one of your you have a lot of unique approaches, and one of your unique. Hi, I can't speak tonight.
Happy Mother's Day, by the way. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. You're so nice. I have the best kids ever.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they're so cute. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And happy birthday to your dad.
Yes, it's my dad's birthday and Mother's Day. So happy birthday, Pops, and happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Yeah, woohoo! All
Woo!
right, so now maybe I could speak. Thank you for that
Yes.
break in conversation. So one of your unique approaches is actually something really cool and up and coming called astronutrition, and you create videos out of it.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what astronutrition is and some of the videos that you make.
Astronutrition is basically just taking what was happening planetarily, and taking, because every planet controls a certain body part, and so it's just a lot of fun. If you're somebody who loves astrology, you'll get a lot out of it. But the thing that's really awesome that I want to make very clear is that if you're somebody who doesn't love astrology, you're going to get a lot out of it because it's still really good information. Mimi and I are about to film a video on brain food because, yeah, all this Gemini energy going on right now and all the thinking that everybody's so in their heads right now. We're going to do I'm hoping, a video that'll be very helpful to people. So whether you believe in astrology or not, you still need to take care of your brain. You still want to prevent Alzheimer's and age-related decline and think clearly and avoid brain fog. So, you know what I mean? So it works. Again, it's inclusive.
That's great. So
Yeah.
give us an example. That's one you're working. What's one that you've already shared with people that you see that people that resonated with them?
Well, everybody's interested in sex, so we did one for libido. And
Yeah,
so,
I kind of like that one too.
yeah, so I mean, it's let's see, we've touched on, oh gosh, I can't remember. We've only done a few episodes, and now I'm drawing a blank. I think we did digestion. We're about to do one again on like thyroid health.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm open to suggestions. So, if anybody wants to know anything about a particular health condition, bring it on. I mean, I'd be happy to make a video. And also, just so you know, starting in my goal, I'm setting myself up by giving you a date, but my timeline. But June, I'm hoping to start making nutritional videos because I want to make incorporating more vegetables, in particular raw. I don't, vegetables into people's lives easier. So I want to start making some videos, and so that's something else that's kind of new, that's up and coming, and it's going to be happening. So keep checking back, like GaiaBlooming.com, and then even our Facebook page. Yeah, because that's June is when that's my timeline. That's what I'm hoping to.
So are these recipe videos?
They're going to be recipe videos.
Oh,
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I want people to start eating, again, just start adding the good things in. I'm not telling somebody to just, if to stop eating your porterhouse steak, but maybe have a little something before the steak, and if you still have room for it afterwards, that's fine. Again, like I said, what's going to happen is these bad habits are going to fall by the wayside as your body becomes cleaner. You become much more in tune with your body's needs. It's pretty incredible when people are not eating well, or if they're overly stressed, or even if they have an eating disorder. Clearly, that's a whole different show. That mind-body connection, it doesn't really exist. So as you become more healthy, your body and your mind become so in tune that you really truly become an intuitive eater, and that's what I want to get people to that point. So these videos are going to be also teaching people how to eat, not waste. That sounds crazy, I know, but like, for instance, get a head of broccoli, everybody cuts off the cute little trees on the top and then throws the stump away. That stump is loaded with nutrition. You can peel off that rough skin and make a really good broccoli slaw, and you can eat that before your steak, you know what I mean? Or just, I want to make easy things. Easy things that people...
Use of food.
Yeah, and things that people will actually do.
It's kind of... Yeah, it's kind of like, you hear what your grandparents used to do when they were done eating the chicken off the bone. They take all the bones and they make the soup out of it. Like, that's perfect. Like, how to not waste your vegetables and other ingredients. Because I think we do. I think as a society we've become so wasteful, and it's sad. Yeah. And you can make anything into a soup or something healthy.
And bone broths.
Love it.
A lot of people out there that don't eat meat are going to disagree with this, but bone broths are incredibly healthy if it's from a healthy source of meat. Yeah, very healing.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. So I love these videos. I watch them myself. I've gotten some great information out of them. And what's beautiful about them is they're short and sweet and to the point. They don't drag on, so they're easy to watch. Where can people find them?
We have a YouTube channel. It's the Gaia Blooming YouTube channel. We also have a Facebook page. It's just Facebook /Gaia Blooming. And then GaiaBlooming.com. I'm going to start posting my videos on all three of these pages. Right now they're just, I think, mainly on the YouTube and the Facebook.
Okay. So you were also talking about you have other kinds of partnerships going on with Gaia Blooming. What else can we look forward to seeing from you?
Mimi and I are going to put together a coaching program. We haven't quite worked out all the kinks, but again, stay tuned. Keep checking back because it's going to be. Mimi's a pretty incredible body worker, so we're gonna try and come up with some sort of a coaching program that's going to incorporate both nutrition as well as. I really believe that good health is all encompassing as far as it has to do with your spirituality, it has to do with your relationships, it has to do with your physical health, your nutrition. These things all work together. So we're trying to come up with something that is going to be very comprehensive.
Absolutely fun. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
So Genevieve, we've come up to the point in the show where it's confession time. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do this.
I don't want to cry, but no.
I won't make you cry. I'll take it very easy. So you share with me an experience that sadly many children are facing today, and it's a serious issue across the nation and across the world. And you talked a little bit about how you emotionally bullied as a child. So tell us a little bit about what that experience was like for you and how it impacted your life and how you faced it.
I grew up in a well, let me just start by saying that I'm about 5'10" and a quarter, a very tall girl. I have been this height since I was about 10. I was also very fat, a heavy child. I was very picked on because of my size and because of, I had kids thinking that I was actually a teacher and not a student. Anyways, I'm not going to get into a whole lot of detail, but I was very, very bullied. It didn't matter where I went. I had a group of friends that were my friends, but pretty much everybody else was really, I don't want to get emotional, they were really, really mean. I mean, you have no idea what kind of a toll this takes on you when you try your damnedest to fit in. You want just nothing more to fit in, and you just absolutely, you don't even have a shot in hell because they won't even give you a chance. I'm so sensitive to this issue too. I watched the documentary Bully and I just lost it. I was just crying the whole time. But it affected me so dramatically that I literally had to go into independent studies by the time I was in the 7th grade. I couldn't even leave the house. I was like bedridden because of it. Horrible, horrible anxiety. It was terrible. But when I got to be about, and this went on from the time I was about, I think it started when I was about 11, and then my parents finally got a clue and put me into independent studies when I was about 14, and then I went into therapy a little bit after that. They did put me on some antidepressants, which I don't necessarily recommend. I didn't really have a chemical imbalance. My situation was definitely situational depression. But it did was it made me think a little bit clearer. So I only took it for a very short period of time. I did something I don't recommend doing, which is I just stopped cold turkey taking the medicine when I knew that I was okay. But it went on from about 11 or 12 till about 17. I literally could not. For me to leave the house, my parents had to almost beat me. They had to drag me out. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go to school. I ditched. I did everything in my power. I just couldn't. I couldn't tolerate. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't even. All I wanted to do was sleep. It was terrible. But I'm so far away from that now, and it's interesting because until you invited me onto your show and talked to me about, talking about a confession, I hadn't even thought about this in like 20 years. I think it was good for me to finally acknowledge that I did go through this. I hope it'll help people to understand that. I mean, it does get better. It really does get better. Life is amazing now. I'm so happy. I'm so happy I didn't end it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So how did you finally overcome it? Was it therapy? Was there a shift as you got older and understood? Was a change in your scenery? What helped you actually take control of your life and not let it control you anymore?
I think being out of the environment and being able to talk to a therapist and then being able to literally remove myself from it and look at it from a totally different, almost like a third party, looking. I really can't. It's been so long that I can't remember, specifics. It was a very slow process, obviously. I mean, 12 to 17 years of age is a long time to go through this. It was probably in therapy from 14 to maybe 16 or 17 before I finally started feeling that safe. It was a weird feeling of feeling completely like I had no safe place to turn. I knew that my family didn't understand me. Nobody, unless you've been through this, it's really difficult to make people understand it. I can't pinpoint any one specific thing that sort of ended it for me. I think that just one day the rubber hit the road. I just realized I did like myself and life was worth living, and I wasn't in that environment anymore, and I was able to start to think clear. I think just I don't believe that you should force kids to stay in an environment like that. If they're being bullied, you need to do everything in your power to help them understand their power. Get them out of it. Get them out of it. I'm not saying let them drop out. But if you have to put your kids in home studies or you have to take them out to a different school, I don't care what you got to do. These kids are hurting themselves.
Yeah.
And I understand because I wanted to too.
You just didn't know how to make it stop.
Yeah.
So for people going through this, I mean, this is even into adulthood, people feel this kind of bullying. What advice would you give to them to deal with it?
Don't be afraid to reach out and get help. And don't be afraid to admit that it's happened. I know it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, but you can't live your life in fear. And people that have been bullied are afraid. They're so afraid because and the thing is, it's really weird is because once it becomes a part of your psyche and a part of your subconscious brain, you keep on bringing about the same situation everywhere you go. Because I did switch schools, and the same thing would happen over again. It was such a part of who I was that I attracted it everywhere I went. So you need to come to terms with that first and foremost. It's not you. I mean, it is you, but I mean, it's
right.
You can, yeah, don't be afraid to reach out and get help. You have to get help because you're probably not going to be able to figure it out all on your own. I mean, you need to deal with somebody who can bring out, talk to you, ask the right questions, and then you start to think differently about the situation. You start to analyze it and work on yourself. It takes a lot of self-work.
Well, Genevieve, I want to thank you for being so brave and talking about that. And I know people watching this are going to learn from that. And I commend you for being an inspiration to people. And I really admire what you've been through and who you've become today. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So to wrap up, what final message does Genevieve Eliza have for this world?
See, you're right. We were talking earlier about this question stumping people. It does kind of stump me. My message is love yourself. The most loving thing that you can do for yourself is to feed yourself good, healthy food. And you have no idea how far-reaching it really is. It makes it not only do you feel good, feel better physically, your brain works better. You become more of an intuitive person. You become a more compassionate person. You're less, because when you're unhealthy, you tend to be kind of angry. So my message is love yourself enough to feed yourself well, healthy food, and beyond. You'll be surprised once you jump down that rabbit hole how far it'll take you. Is jumping down the rabbit hole considered a negative term? I'm using it as a positive.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. I think it leads to adventure.
Yeah. It's just one good healthy habit begets another and begets another, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. Well, Genevieve, thank you so much for taking the time to come on with me tonight. I had such a blast.
Yeah, me too. It was awesome.
Good. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, you can check out Genevieve on GaiaBlooming.com and a whole bunch of other links on their Facebook, YouTube. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to post the links in a video below so you can find them easily. So keep a watch out for her videos. Find all her inspirational knowledge there. So be sure to check her out after the show.
Cool.
And I am Jenny Watson. I'm a personal empowerment coach. You can find me at www.jennifer-watson.me. Interested in coming on my show and confessing to me? You can email me at jenny@jennifer-watson.me. So thanks for tuning in tonight, and join me next week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern as I interview Michael Baker. He is an actor, casting director, and teacher, and he has got an amazing personality, so you are going to check it out next week. So thanks for tuning in this week and every week. Namaste, and embrace your power.
Namaste.